Hip City College and City Power usage. I received an email from Hip City College that informed me of my dorm situation for my first year. I had been placed in a double within a 5-person suite, and my roommate would be a guy named Rucci. Sounded cool enough, so I quickly communicated with Rucci and found out that he also was a Green Power user and Radiohead fan, to my delight. I seemed to have a string of good luck that August, and felt all but completely primed for my first year of college. I moved into my suite during the last week of the month and couldn't wait to meet all the new people. Rucci and I stuck together immediately because we were in far different frames of mind than our other 3 suite mates. Carter was a squarely bespectacled, shaven-headed fellow who only left his gaming room for dining room sustenance. Whenever he opened his door, there was a stench which smelled weirdly like gerbils, and it would vent out into the suite without explanation. Then there was the double of Ronald and Erwin. Ronald was a pretty-faced YouTube personality with a strong fan base of 12 to 14-year-old girls, and Erwin was a stuffy, wannabe Coen Brothers director with poor fashion sense. They were all nice enough guys, but very much so in their separate worlds that I wanted no business with. On one occasion, I shared some Green Power with Carter out of politeness, a way to give us a chance at making friends, but his response to the stuff left him in a silently anxious mood, and no interesting conversations commenced. Ronald got into Green Power eventually with his other virgin friend in a sort of Pinky and the Brain friendship. They were super novices about basic Green Power common sense, and once nearly got us caught by the RA for indoor Green Power consumption. Erwin had the worst attitude of them all, such as that one time we all decided to drink together in our suite for once. Yeah, my aunt loved trying the Green Power for medical reasons, Erwin started. She said it would be so great if it didn't make her so stupid. I was furious at him for insinuating that I was likely stupid from it too, but ultimately knew that it wasn't worth wasting too much energy on the likes of Erwin, who looked like the scariest version of a male babysitter. Okay, man. I started slowly. I mean, I feel fine, and I've been doing it for a while. Why would you say that right now anyway? He displayed little to no remorse. Oh, I don't know. He was always quite smug. Just saying. So as far as the suite mates went, I stuck with my cool-headed roommate Rucci, a skilled guitarist and filmmaker who had only spent 2 years away from his homeland of South Korea, but had more or less mastered English. We had great times consuming Green Power together, laughing at jokes, videos, linguistic situations, etc. One night, we lightly connected to DSL and stayed up all night talking about just about anything, and we were instantly close friends from what I could tell. We went on a walk around the city at sunrise and laughed at the weirdness of our situation. Just 2 fellas coming down from DSL, walking the streets of Hip City in the early morn. We returned to campus and ate breakfast at the dining hall, as we more or less blended in with our classmates. I wanted to have a music project with Rucci for his guitar and singing skills, but he was under the impression that focusing on those skills would be a waste of time. His reason was because there were many far better than him, and it would distract him from his true passion of filmmaking. I told him it didn't have to be all or nothing, but he was a determined guy with firm convictions. Then came my next 2 close friendships at Hip City College. At an ice-breaking event, I met Lainey, a blonde woman with a side-hoop nose ring and a flowery top, suggestive of someone who wanted to appear gentle and floral, but ultimately had a deeper interior, so I thought. We immediately clicked, as we were both people prone to stoned jokes and nervous laughter. We exchanged numbers and decided to hang out in the city park across the street with her roommate, Shara. Shara was cool in many of the same ways as Lainey, but shorter, with brown hair and the physique of a vegetarian 5K runner. We all shared good laughs as we consumed green power in the park, and we proceeded to hang out almost exclusively with each other for the following 2 weeks. I quickly developed crushes on both of them, something I should have known wasn't going to end well. I had awkwardly tried resting in bed with each of them on separate occasions. I felt too much like a friend to Shara in the end, and didn't want to try to make it more if it wasn't going to work out, and Lainey more or less rejected my attempts at escalation, for similar reasons, I imagine. It wasn't all me, but it was quite foolish of me to go after 2 different girls at the same time who were my only new friends in my first 2 weeks at school. But the 3 of us had a particularly funny time together. We took a journey on the underground train to visit the campus of the local Ivy School, the great and powerful arbiter of highbrow academia and general supreme excellence. We thought that with our bohemian appearances and recent consumption of green power, we'd have a silly presence amongst the overachievers. To top it all off, Lainey and I decided to connect to DSL together before the journey. Doing such made for a laughable train ride toward the Ivy School as we looked at each other's reflections in the glass across from us. We each sported clearly green-powered facial expressions, and the DSL amplified the absurdity of it all. Why weren't people on the train laughing, talking? Did none of us, or anyone on the train, look interesting enough to ask a polite question to, for simple practice of manners and positivity? I guess we weren't going out of our way to do so either, but we were also connected to DSL, and didn't want to somehow appear as if that were the case, as that could be cause for greater hysteria. Maybe it's this anxiety about appearing weird that stops us all from breaking the public barriers. We made it to the Ivy School and found a rubber rhino resting on a mailbox along the way. We called him Roscoe and took him with us, his playful, cartoonish face and squeeze-provoked squeaky toy sounds, perfect for the occasion. We walked around the campus to find that some parade was going on with people wearing different coloured shirts, for all colours of the rainbow, waving their different flags. We didn't cross paths with the parade, but it was an odd uniformity to watch from a distance. I suddenly realised that I had lost my lapis lazuli, the necklace I had been wearing. I know I haven't mentioned it much, but I wore it all through high school, and still wore it at this point, a key feature of my style, and a protective talisman whilst journeying in the great unknown. Anyway, I lost it and grew worried, however much I felt that we would find it sooner than later. We retraced our steps, and eventually Lainey stopped 2 tall, athletic young men to ask if they had seen a blue rock. They maintained their serious expressions and pondered for a moment. Blue rock? Nope, haven't seen it round here, one said all too officially, as if he had conducted a survey of the area and could verify that the blue rock was, indeed, not within this vicinity. We thanked them kindly as they marched on, when suddenly Lainey found my lapis. We cheered and made our way back to the school. That was probably one of the greatest times the 3 of us had in those 2 weeks of close friendship. But without any formal explanation, the 2 of them stopped hanging out with me, and I stopped contacting them, because I felt like I was a bother to them. It was a puzzling experience to get so close to a couple of people and to move on to a quote-unquote friend restart. I met others here and there, but had kept all my focus on Lainey and Shara those first 2 weeks. Either way, time went on, and our paths didn't cross much thereafter.